Well, hello, here we are. It's the 9th of October and I'm out walking this morning. It's around about 7:30. The sun's just come up. I missed that, it was too late. Just trying to get down to this point here where I am. So where am I? I'm at the mouth of the Haven in Boston. The confluence of two rivers, the River Witham and the River Welland, right on the edge of the sea and the Wash. But it's quite a fun. Why I'm here this morning particularly, and it's lovely to come down here at any time, but why I'm here particularly today is a bit of a phenomena. It's the highest tide of the year so far. Considering we're in October, that's a pretty spectacular thing. So I'm told that any tide over 7 metres is a very high tide, and I think today's is 7.8 metres. So if I just swing the camera around, you'll see that I'm walking by the side of what looks like a lake, but it's actually a river, and it's the Haven. Hopefully we might see some boats, fishing boats, on their way out to the Wash on the high tide shortly. But let me just swing the camera around, and there we go. So what you're looking at there is the sun coming up in the east, obviously, and what we're looking out towards the Wash there, we're looking out to sea and the Wash, and over to our right there, that's the Haven. It's called the Haven, but it's actually the River Witham. As it comes through Boston, it turns into the Haven, the Boston Haven, and across the other side is the Frampton Marsh Reserve, the RSPB Reserve, which, again, I don't know if the camera's picking up on that, just looks like a great big lake, but it's not actually a great big lake. It's a series of mud, marshy flats, which of course today filled with the tide, and as I say, to the right now would be quite a pronounced river. You can see the markers. Well, the river's in the middle of that lot somewhere. As we head out towards the Wash and get a look at this high tide. We're just approaching a place called Cut End Bird Hide. I think it kind of does what it says on the tin. Little wooden structure up there. Not sure that's always been its purpose, given the strategic nature of Boston's port. I would rather imagine that there was something here during the war. There's certainly a pillbox, as we call them, a gun emplacement across the other side there, protecting the mouth. There it is, there, protecting the mouth of the Haven. But if I bring you around to that point over there, hopefully, if it's gonna. How do we get that? What a beautiful sky. Morning sky. I missed the sun. The sun did come up, and it was quite a bright sunrise initially. Clouded over a little bit now. The piece of land jutting out there, you see, just over there, that is the point at which the River Welland comes in from our right hand side and meets up with the Haven, or the Witham, as it comes in right beside us here now. And as you can see, that tide is right at the banks. You know, that is normally way down those banks. There we go. So that body of water you can see in front of us, there's a trig point coming up just in front of us here, but that body of water you can see in front of us there, that is not normally there. That is normally some distance away, probably a good quarter of a mile, if not half a mile. The sea will recede back, and the marshes will be reclaimed as the sea rolls back to whence it came. In about, well, it'll start doing that now. We're right at the middle now. It's just gone 8 o'clock. I think high tide was 7:45 this morning, so that tide will start rolling back out towards the wash, and all of the land there you can see to the left hand side will be gone. I'll spin you around. There's the bird watch at the end there. We're going to go along there and try to fly in the drone. The sun peeking through there, but the piece of land at the end there, that is where the River Welland joins the Haven. And here comes our first ship of the day. Let me get some photographs as it comes past. I'm going to get the drone up in a second. The Steve Keithley cut end bird hide. I'm guessing Mr. Keithley was probably a prominent member of the bird watching fraternity. That's what you call them. Twitchers, I think they are. Yeah, no idea what they are. Big flock of birds there. And people might wonder why I'm getting so excited about this, because I did live for many years by the sea, down on the south coast, and technically speaking we are only 8 miles from the sea where we live now, but the sea very rarely comes to visit. It's normally a good quarter of a mile or so out beyond those marker buoys out but the marker posts out there, so we don't normally see the sea at this close quarter, so it almost feels like a proper seaside place now. With the tide lapping in around these stones right in front of me. And as I turn the camera around, try not to fall down a hole. And there we are, the mouth of the Haven and the River Welland. It really is quite spectacular. I don't think the camera's doing justice to the birds that are around, but it is really a spectacular sight. Obviously people come down here and have impromptu barbecues and unfortunately do leave their litter. But that is the bird hide, and it's a perfectly placed bird hide. Not that I know a great deal about bird hides, but that does seem perfectly placed to me. Right, I'm going to get a few shots from here, then I'm going to move on along a little bit. So we're heading north now along the sea bank. We just turned just before we got to the Camp End bird hide. I'm going to swing the camera in a minute so you can see that. But yeah, this sea defence, there is a further sea defence, an earlier one, which is a little bit further inland, about a quarter of a mile or so inland. But you can see why we need it, or why it's needed when you have tides of this height. So this body of water now, we're turning around, we look like we're at the seaside. We are at the seaside, but normally the sea isn't there. Normally the sea is much further back, about, I'd say, a good quarter of a mile back, possibly even a little bit further than that. So in front of us would be like a salty marsh area, and then this area is completely deluged now by this high tide. So I'm going to walk along to that memorial over there in a bit, but let's see if I can get the drone up and have a look at this tide. Now just walking down towards the Sir Alec Paterson Memorial, just a little bit further round what is now a cove. It very much isn't a cove, but it looks like a cove this morning. But as you can already see, literally an hour after high tide, and the land is beginning to poke back through, and the sea is beginning to disappear on its journey back towards the Wash. So yeah, we're just heading a little bit further. It's not far to go now. I can see it. Only a short walk away now. It's Sir Alec Paterson Memorial. So there we go. We've reached the Sir Alec Paterson Memorial. If I just swing the camera round, you'll see that just over an hour after high tide, the sea is disappearing back again, and the land is starting to poke through. So I told you it wasn't very far away. And there we are. It is literally in front of our very eyes. The sea is receding back to whence it came. So Sir Alec Paterson, who was he then? So he was a prison reformer born in the late 1800s, and he was in fact Sir Winston Churchill's electoral agent, first responsible for getting Sir Winston Churchill elected to Parliament. So if nothing else, we can thank Sir Alec Paterson for that. I think the world would be a very, very different place if perhaps that hadn't have happened and he hadn't have got elected. Then would have happened, we don't know. But Sir Alec Paterson, better known then for being a prison reformer. So this is a monument. He was born up in, I believe, Lancashire somewhere up north. Now that sounds very much like a southerner saying that, isn't it? But I originate from the Midlands actually, but we always class anything further north than Nottingham as being up north. I believe it was Lancashire, but anyway, he was born in the latter part of the 18th century. Was Sir Winston Churchill's electoral agent. So let's have a look at the inscription then. So Sir Alec Paterson MC, and under the governor of W.W. Llewellyn OBE. So the North Sea camp that refers to on that inscription there, the bank was begun manually by the staff and boys of North Sea camp on the 3rd of March 1933. Blimey, it must have been cold and bleak out here. So they installed this bank, or they dug this bank manually as a part, I guess, of their reformation into characters that would serve society rather than harm it. And I think what they've done there is brought the original bank forward and reclaimed all the farmland that sits in front of us now. So that the old bank is a little bit further past those houses that you can see, or past those farm buildings. You can see a tree line in the foreground. That is where the original bank was. So all these fields in front of us and down towards the sea would have originally looked like that, but the reclamation by building this bank here, and you can see some works going on a little bit further along, obviously made that farmland possible. And as late as 1974 there, it's saying that they reclaimed over 500 acres from the sea. So that is the monument to Sir Alec Paterson. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know Latin, but quantum malefactors juvenis il parte bene fectorum. I probably absolutely butchered that, but I did have to look that up, of course, to find out what that means. Essentially, that means that the belief in malefactors. Now, what a great word! If nothing else today, that is a fantastic word, isn't it? In fact, if I've done it justice there, malefactor is somebody who has done something wrong, somebody who has harmed society, but through this prison reform, or the reform that Sir Alec Paterson was so heavily involved with, I think that the essence of that saying is that those people can be turned around and become valuable members of society even after their wrongdoings. So there we go. That's the Sir Alec Paterson Memorial, a fine cone-shaped edifice there. Hopefully the sun, and you can see behind me there, the sea really has disappeared in just What is over an hour? Interesting little side note to Sir Alex Patterson as we walk back. Sir Alex Patterson, it turns out, was in the same regiment in the First World War as a great uncle of mine. Now, my great uncle was one of 3 brothers who were killed in the First World War, 2 in France, and the youngest, Harry, in Turkey, in Gallipoli. But Harry, although born and brought up in the Midlands, in Burton Latimer, near Kettering in Northamptonshire, although Harry came from that part of the world, for some strange reason, he signed up, unlike his 2 brothers who signed up for the Northamptonshire Regiment, Harry signed up for the Royal Surrey Regiment down in Battersea in southeast London, and that was the same regiment that Sir Alex Patterson served in, although I think he served in France. But what a strange coincidence there. I wonder if their paths ever crossed. Unfortunately, Harry didn't make it to the other side of the world and is today buried in Turkey, in Gallipoli, on a horrendous part of the First World War, as indeed it all was. Ironically, though, Sir Winston Churchill was criticised when he was the first Sea Lord. Sir Winston Churchill came under a great deal of criticism for his part in the Gallipoli landings. So ill-advised and ill-thought-out attack, or an effort to get at those pro-German Turkish forces, and it didn't quite work out. So that's an ironic twist of fate. These things come round, don't they? So let's spin the camera back round, and we're walking back towards the Bird Hide, but we're going to turn right and we're going to end up back at the car park for our journey back. There, what could be more British than watching the Lily May, Boston. Even those 2 little trawlers, they're not really trawlers, are they? That's probably giving them the wrong title. They're fishing vessels, fishing boats. Even those 2 little fishing boats going out, causing quite a wake there. But yeah, what a sight. So out they go on this ebbing tide, using the advantage of using the power of the tide to get out to sea, and then using the power of the tide to get back into port a little bit later on as well. No idea what they're catching. I really ought to know, hadn't I? But I don't like fish, so it seems strange. I do eat fish and chips occasionally and do enjoy scampi, but for some reason I've never really liked fish. But we have to take our hats off to brave men and women all around this amazing country of ours that go out on those fishing boats every single day for their catch.
And it was at this point I realised that I hadn't recorded an outro. So thank you all very much indeed for watching, and I'll leave you with this flight over the Boston Haven. You're watching the Boston fishing fleet going out to the Wash on what was the highest tide of the year. Indeed, it was a mega tide.